All right, let's jump right into today's explainer, because we are unpacking a really fascinating text here. It's titled, "The Garden of Eden is Lost Like This." Now, this essay takes that ancient, super familiar theological concept of paradise and, well, it grounds it right in everyday modern behavior. The author is making a pretty bold argument about human nature, accountability, and the real reasons we end up losing out on the good things in life.
To kick things off, the author throws this incredibly surprising question at us. Do humans experience the same sadness as a banished dog? It sounds a bit strange at first, right? But the author uses this exact analogy to launch a really profound exploration of human nature. This isn't just about pets, you guys. It's a baseline, a way to explore how we, as humans, handle the Edens, those perfect little paradises we're handed in life. Let's look at the actual data the author presents to build this case.
So, that brings us to Part 1, Case Study 1, The Disobedient Pet, A Tale of Two Dogs.
Notice the clear cause and effect baseline the author sets up here. On one side, we have two large German shepherds. They are obedient, they guard the yard, and they're fiercely loyal. Because of that, the author rewards them. They get daily meat, regular baths, excellent care. It's this harmonious relationship built on mutual respect. But then, there's a new addition, a pampered West Highland White Terrier. The author's family builds this tiny dog a literal paradise. We're talking a customized bed, a dedicated indoor sandbox for a bathroom, the whole shebang. But the terrier, it's stubborn. It completely refuses to learn and just repeatedly makes a mess on the carpet instead of using its sandbox. Despite endless training, it absolutely won't change its behavior. So the consequence? The terrier loses its indoor paradise and gets banished outside with the larger dogs.
And this brings up a really pivotal rhetorical question from the author. The luxurious treatment was lost, but who should we blame? Well, you can't really blame the owners, right? They provided literally everything. The terrier squandered its comfortable setup entirely on its own. I want you to keep this idea of accountability in your mind as we escalate this concept to the next level of the allegory.
Moving on to Part 2, Case Study 2, The Lazy Worker and Squandered Opportunity. To really grasp the gravity of this next situation, you need to know this number, 10. There's a man named Paul, and he, along with his spouse and two children, were living in extreme poverty. They were squeezed into a shack made of old wooden boards that was literally less than 10 square meters in size. Imagine that for a family of 4. Moved by profound pity, the author actually decided to bring Paul's entire family into his own home. He wanted to provide Paul with a livelihood, a way to earn a wage through honest labor so his family could live a normal, comfortable life. Essentially, the author handed Paul the keys to a modern, secular Eden.
And what happens next brilliantly illustrates the author's point. Over a really short period, Paul completely squanders these opportunities. We can actually track it right here on this timeline. In the first month, Paul is given the garden to tend. But the author notices something. While Paul looks super busy when he's being watched, the moment the author leaves, Paul sneaks off to sleep. The weeds stay, the flowers die. Okay, so the author tries a different environment and puts Paul in a store for a week. The result? Total chaos. Paul spends an entire hour washing a single rag while dust just accumulates everywhere else. Still trying to help, the author gives Paul what should be an incredibly simple job, a security guard at a club, complete with a crisp new uniform. The instructions are crystal clear, but on day 1, Paul just stands there like a statue while a thief casually walks up and steals a camera right in front of him. No way, right? He lacked the basic responsibility to even say a single word. Ultimately, the author has absolutely no choice but to ask Paul and his family to leave.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how the author connects Paul's secular failure to a much broader spiritual thesis. He writes, Eden isn't lost because God is unjust. It is because we as humans are unworthy. The author is arguing that we are often handed these perfect setups, whether that's by society, by other people, or just by the universe, but we lose our paradise through our own lack of merit, laziness, or irresponsibility.
Let's look at Part 3, Case Study 3, The Treacherous Colleague and the Arrogance of Ambition.
Now, this one is about a colleague the author was actively helping. He was helping him navigate the incredibly difficult process of moving abroad to do business. The author handles the paperwork, sends the invitations, basically does all the heavy lifting. But just as the trip is finalized, the colleague's ego takes over. Sitting in a dark corner with friends, the colleague hatches a plot, whispering about the author. He, a nameless and insignificant pawn, aren't we all better than him? The colleague drafts this totally malicious plan to use the author to get established overseas and then immediately kick him aside to surpass him. But the author finds out,
And the consequence is absolute and it is immediate. The author sends a swift, icy fax. There has been a change in circumstances, and I am unable to accommodate you temporarily. Just like that, the gate is slammed shut. The colleague's impure intentions instantly cost him his golden opportunity.
The author directly links this betrayal back to the original theological story we all know. The expulsion of Adam and Eve wasn't arbitrary. It was a direct consequence of their own actions, disobeying fundamental rules and taking the forbidden fruit. Whether it's a disobedient pet, a lazy worker, a treacherous colleague, or the very first humans in the allegory, the mechanism of losing paradise is always identical.
Which leads us into part 4, the root of misfortune, the blame game.
When individuals face misfortune, it seems our very first instinct is to find a scapegoat. People will instinctively blame the heavens, the earth, society, other people, or God. We externalize the fault completely. The one place we flat out refuse to look? Inward.
And this sets up a really deep human contradiction that the author highlights. On one hand, people are perfectly willing to pray to deities, asking for salvation and rescue from their suffering. But on the other hand, there is a massive reluctance to reflect on their own moral behavior, to stop at the edge of the cliff and actually put in the work to self-improve. Basically, we want the reward without meeting the requirements.
So, how do we fix this? That brings us to part 5, entering the new Eden. Who gets in?
The author defines this new Eden not as a physical garden, but as a spiritual state. And here is the kicker. It has long been established, and its gates are wide open to everyone. It's available right now. However, it operates on a very strict set of prerequisites. To walk through those gates, you must demonstrate obedience, responsibility, and pure intentions. Bringing our entire allegorical journey together, we see exactly why these subjects failed. The terrier's fatal flaw, disobedient. The result, cannot enter. Paul, lazy and irresponsible. The result, cannot enter. And the colleague harbored impure, malicious intentions. The result, cannot enter. They all had the door open for them, but their own character flaws acted like the bouncers that threw them out.
The author summarizes this strict spiritual grace beautifully, stating, God loves the humble, and Buddha enlightens those with affinity. The message here is incredibly clear. Grace, opportunity, and paradise are not just handed out to those who feel entitled to them. They require a baseline of humility and alignment. Those who fail to meet these standards, well, as the author says, they are left to fend for themselves outside the gates.
We're going to end today's explainer on this incredibly powerful sensory metaphor straight from the text. The blind cannot see the blue sky, the deaf cannot hear the river, and those without spiritual awareness cannot see Eden. It challenges us directly, doesn't it? Are we failing to see the opportunities and the Edens right in front of us because we lack the accountability and awareness to maintain them? It's a fascinating lens to view our own lives through. So take a moment today to reflect. What kind of guest are you in your own Eden? Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.